So depending on where you live will base on how well off your school could be.
Not anymore because they created a thing called local control funding formula. So what they do now is they take all their property taxes and then they give it back to you in the local areas, but they give additional money for school districts that have high levels of poverty and students that speak English as a second language. So our district and have foster youth. So our district actually gets more money than a district, say
Beverly Hills?
like Beverly Hills and Redlands now, because of the local control funding formula. They realize that we have more needs in a district like ours than those other districts. So we're actually better off than we used to be. When I first came on the board, we didn't have the local control funding formula. So it was true that the other districts received a whole lot more money than we did. When we got that additional money, I did things in our district to say parents are not going to pay for anything associated with school. So uniforms, I even last year we said even for gym clothes. If gym clothes is something that kids have to have, then we're going to provide them. And one of the what we tried first was to say if a parent can't afford them, then the district will give them out. Then I had a parent call me and say, "Hey, I can't afford the gym clothes. I had my daughter go in there and say that you said the school district will provide the clothes, and they told my daughter we don't have them. You can wear leggings." That's not what the district said, and I'm not gonna have the student out there in leggings, and then the other kids thinking she got leggings because she can't afford gym clothes. And so I presented to the rest of the board, and we decided to provide a gym clothes to all students. So that goes for instruments, even cheerleading. You know, when I was in school, if you didn't have money, you couldn't be a cheerleader because
Period.
you couldn't afford to go to the camp or you couldn't afford to buy your box, right? That doesn't exist anymore. It shouldn't exist. If somebody's in the San Bernardino City School District and there's something that they can't do because of finances, they need to contact me. Because anything that's sanctioned by the district should pay for it totally,
Instruments and everything.
everything.
I love that. So I guess I'm thinking about, I guess people call it devil's advocate. But let's say, you're in Redlands or Beverly Hills and you're like, why sh- why should my money be going to help them? Shouldn't our money be helping our schools?
Oh, it is
You
for the
know?
no, it is for the most part,
Okay.
but there's other money other than just property tax. You also have sales tax. You even get a little money from the lottery. But in the end, the state legislature and the governor have the discretion to determine how much money schools receive. And if you have, for instance, 5,000 of my kids are homeless legally.
Say that again?
5,000 of my kids out of the 45,000 students I have, 5,000 are legally homeless. So either that goes from either living at the park, or you don't have a permanent residence, or you're moving from place to place throughout the year. So those those type of uh, situations require more money. So we provide busing the kids, transportation of kids. We have a Be Still program where no matter where your parents live, we'll get you a bus from that school, from wherever you're living to this school, as long as you're in our school district, so that you can have some level of consistency. So those things cost more money than a district that doesn't have to deal with uh, uh, students that have problems they got to deal with. You know, my dad always used to say, a a child should never be held responsible for the action of adults, and I truly I believe that. So because you're born into poverty, or your parents have drug problems, or you're living with your grandmother who doesn't have mobility, those things present problems. So the district should do what they can to mitigate those circumstances to give you the best uh, chance at being successful in your education.
You know, it immediately makes me think of, like, it blows my mind. You say 5,000 kids are homeless, right? I'm pretty sure most people don't even think about kids being homeless and trying to go to school. So how do they even? My first thing is like, how do they even 'Cause I think you have to, like, write down a residence, right, in order to even go to school to, like, apply to be in school? Like, how
unless you're homeless.
yeah, so, like, how does that work?
They
Like, how
have
do
ways of dealing with it. We have a whole staff that deals with students who happen to be homeless.
and wasn't isn't didn't,
I'll give you a perfect example.
okay.
Uh, we had the local fires around here, and there was smoke,
Mhm.
and a lot of people got angry with me because the the air quality people said the best way to deal with the smoke is to stay indoors and run your air conditioning.
Okay.
To me, because I grew up in San Bernardino and we didn't have an air conditioner, then that meant that if I had kids in school, they were better off than me at home. So I had a lot of people upset with that.
Okay.
But even if you take it to the next level, a kid doing that event was better at my school with food than being at Paris Hill Park
Mm,
homeless, breathing the air with no air conditioning. So that was my perspective. And I try to be fair to the teachers and staff who didn't want to come by saying you can use your sick leave and we'll restore your sick leave if you feel that it's unsafe for you to be here. I'm not gonna force somebody to be in a situation they don't want to be in. But I knew um, a lot of my kids were better off being at school, even with the air was unhealthy because I could provide an environment during those few hours that was more healthy than what they were going to experience at home. A lot of our kids don't eat unless they come
coming
to
to
school.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when they said shut down schools, everybody thinks you just tell everybody, "Hey, stay home." But no, even if you're really going to feed those kids, you're telling part of my workers, you're coming to work to help feed the kids because there's no robots to hand out food to kids.
Mhm.
No robots to prepare it.
Yeah.
People got to do that.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
You
Exactly.
know, shout out to you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you were basically trying to make things work for everybody, and, like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were trying to give if the educators were gonna come in, you could say, "Hey, use your sick leave and we'll reimburse your sick
That's
leave."
right.
So that's a
It's
great
I was
thing.
trying to get a win-win.
Yeah,
Right.
and can you speak a little bit on because not only do kids that are without homes don't have food, but even kids that, quote, unquote, "have homes" don't necessarily get meals. Can you speak on how many kids are not really getting meals at home and getting most of their meals at school? Can you
I don't
speak
know
on
the
that?
number, but I know it's substantial.
Okay,
Yeah, we've done the survey,
okay,
and we even do a thing now where we ensure that a kid can eat breakfast in class.
okay,
Uh, uh, it presents problems because you have to do more with pesticides and stuff like that. You know, when you start bringing food in class and you start getting bugs and stuff, so we have to deal with all that. You know what I mean? But and then just dealing with the food in a classroom, you get grease and food,
yes,
but you got to balance. But they found that a kid who's not hungry in the morning is going to perform better in school, and
more
so
focused.
more focus. So that's why a lot of those programs work. Yeah.